Oh, good morning, everybody. It's now 6 a.m. the next day. Before we can get planting or spraying, first thing we gotta do is turn on water. We got water turning on at 6, potentially 8, and noon. But they don't know how many of them will actually turn on. It'll all just depend on what kind of water we got in the canal. I can just sit here and listen to that water. Alright, first ditch should be good. Maddie beat me to the head gate by a few minutes, so she actually got it turned on. I went and helped her at the first two places we normally pitch weeds. There's like 2 weeds in the ditch. Alright, this is going to be a cakewalk. She's got some other crap she can kind of mess with while waiting on that to get to different places. I'm going to go grab breakfast and probably start planting corn, because I got to talk to the agronomist before I load the sprayer, and I'm worried this early in the morning about temperature inversion, so that's the plan for now. Okay, sprayer's loaded, charging the booms now, got computer all set up. That took way too long. It's already 8:30. I started loading this at 7. Yeah. I'm already ready for a beer. The loading of this went fine. But I had to stop and go fix the ditch. Then I had to figure out where everybody was at. Apparently, in the winter, on the weekends, we have half the crew show up on Saturday, half the crew show up on Sunday. I assume since we were getting water everywhere, that we're in summer hours, you know. Everyone shows up when we got things to do. Big Chief had already split up the crew for some today, some tomorrow before he left. Did not tell me that. So then I got to be the jackass that was waking people up that were sleeping in on their Saturday morning saying, "Where the hell are you at? We've got water, we've got cattle." "Oh, I was told not to come today." All right, my apologies. So that was fun. Either way, sprayer's loaded. I'm gonna go get something done. Hopefully, no more problems. At least for the next, like 45 minutes while I get this done. But I know they're doctoring right now. I know we've got another ditch already headed down to the bottom right now. And I've got the half a crew. It's gonna be a good day. I feel like I'm rocking on the ocean out here. Either way though, pre-emerge going down. Let's get watered in by this evening. All good things. One thing I really like about a sprayer is it does not take long to catch up. So I already did the quarter circle over there I planted yesterday. This is the one I planted last night. In 15 minutes I will have those done. So by 9:30 I will have sprayed the majority of what took me all day yesterday to plant. 2 flood fields. It's useless to put this mix on. Just gotta wait and see what weeds come up and go smoke it then. Because where we can't guarantee a rain coming, putting down the pre-emerge is a big risk with a lot of money. It just isn't worth it. Now, what do I mean by pre-emerge? So, 2 of the, what do I have in this? 1, 2, 3. So I've got 5 chemicals in this mix. 2 of them are gonna help with what we call pre-emerge, which means you put it down and it almost creates this little boundary layer to keep new weeds from coming up and germinating, actually. But in order to do that, you got to get some water on it to push those chemicals into the ground, so that way they can be active. If you just go spray this on and then you don't get any rain on it, well, then that chemical can eventually break down and not do what it's supposed to do. Pivots, it's easy. You spray it and then you turn the pivot on. Things how we're getting water everywhere, I'm getting 2 fields done. I would have a bunch more done, but because we didn't know what we were planting this spring, I did not order any of the corn chemical. I just ordered the stuff that I knew we would use on corn and feed. Well, the main chemical I needed was this pre-emerge. I didn't have that last weekend, so 120 acres that could have been treated like this didn't get it. It sucks, but at the same time, you don't want to order a bunch of chemical and have it sitting around and not use it. That's a lot of money out there. So it's kind of one of those 6 in one, half dozen in the other type deals. But either way, it'll get sprayed with just a different mix. Bad part is, then you gotta drive over corn. Because one thing I've found with this sprayer, I can't follow the rows at all because I can't see my tire back in here. That old 10 series I had, my tire was way up here. I could watch it to go down the road. Because unless you're gonna upgrade this GPS to RTK, which costs a lot more money, you can't follow a track. Alrighty, sprayer's rinsed out, ready to be tucked away. I guess before I back that guy out, I better go check water, see where Maddie and Cam are at. Should be kind of in that general area somewhere. Sprinkler number 1 for the day, up and running. So this is getting water from the ditch that turned on at 6 a.m. It's now 10 o'clock. Cameron, by now he should have the water down to the bottom of the other ditch, the next ditch. Another ditch turns on in 2 hours. I've got 50 acres-ish of corn to plant today, and I'm feeling much like yesterday, it's going to be an all-day adventure. Anywho, go check the next pond before we go to the corn planter. That's what I'm going to do. Go check another pond, then go to the planter. Guess what, guys? Change plans. Again, I know, shocking, right? So I just met with the agronomist. He is worried about this oat field getting overtaken by bindweed and some cochilla. I'm coming out to see if there's any way possible to spray it. What makes me nervous is like right here where it's muddy, fairly soft. It's not sticking to my shoes. Maybe just a little. I wonder, maybe, because the problem I'm running into, we get water, or have water on this farm. This is the one Cameron and Maddie were getting down while I was spraying. So that pivot is going to need to turn on here pretty soon. I'm wondering about just running it through the wheat real quick over to the edge of my hay so I can turn it on and spray this in the morning. Because it's going to get hot and windy today. This will dry out quite a bit and then maybe make that easier. Yeah, I kind of like that idea because then I get my lane road wet tonight. Maybe by Monday it'll be dry. Because we're wanting to chop that wheat on Monday. He said abandon all the wheat, don't waste any water on any wheat unless you have to. It's done. Kind of what we already knew. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, it's not a full change plan. I'm headed to the corn planter now. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the corn planter. I'm sticking to that. Maybe. Got that field planted. Cam just got the water down on the third ditch. So we've got water everywhere. Now I'm running around firing up some more sprinklers. It's 1 o'clock. I've sprayed 60 acres and I've planted 20. And I've been going since 6 a.m. Real productive feeling, man. Okay, so I gotta re-rinse my sprayer. So right now I'm filling the rinse tank, which is that guy right there. The reason I'm re-rinsing it is because this morning I sprayed atrazine. That stuff, it can kind of cake onto different areas. I want to make sure it is all out of the system before I spray my oats tomorrow, because my oats are looking good and I don't want them to get hurt. Now, the reason I'm doing this, like I said, so I don't hurt the oats. But the way I gotta spray tomorrow, I gotta spray the oats first, then the corn. And the corn isn't even in the ground yet. I gotta get the planter going again. So my thought process here is I've got every pivot going that I can at the moment. By the time I go through this whole thing, maybe by then I can fire up the last 3 pivots I needed to start this afternoon. Then I can reload the planter and go plant corn. That's my hope at least. One thing that I think was a massive screw up from the old sprayers to the new ones is this. The old system is so much simpler. This sprayer, you have to have the engine running to load because you have to hit this button to open the electric shut off on the tank. Now the downside to that again is then you can't drain the tank while you're rinsing the system, so it winds up re-rinsing some of the dirty water. So whenever you're doing a different crop, you have to double rinse it to make sure you get everything out. I mean, it's just frustrating as hell. Sprinklers are all on, seeds in the planter. Gonna stop, grab a little bit of fuel on the way to the field. Let's go see how close we are to pulling this off, because it's already 3. Got 30 acres to go, but because of the way it's gonna set up, this is probably gonna take a few hours. Well, once again, change of plan. So I just got out, made my first adjustment right there where it's got all the different colors. All I got is that little point there, that little bit. So rather than fold up and do everything I was talking about, I just called my wife and told her, bring me 1 bag of seed. I don't even know if I need it. 1 bag of seed isn't going to be enough to matter at the next field. Hell, you got to plant a certain amount of refuge anyways. Probably good enough. Refuge, I should probably explain that, but I'll do that later. And I don't have time to go reload and come back because I got a phone call a little over an hour ago from a seed guy saying he was coming with a pallet of seed, needed somebody around to sign for it, and I'm the only one around. He thought he'd be here between 4:30 and 5, and it is now 10 till 5. I won't be done by 5 if I don't run out of seed. So we'll see. It's gonna get interesting. I literally had to refill, won't let me zoom in any closer, for those last 3 little passes there. Maybe 1/10 of an acre. And since no one was around, called Kayla to bring over a bag of seed. I joked with her, I go, we need to take a picture of this, so when the tax man asks why we're using your car as a farm expense, people know. Either way, guys, this is done. Just heard from the seed guy. He went ahead and dropped it and left, so I don't have to worry about rushing over there for that. Done for the day. Set for the shed. Alright, I got back to the shop, and I had mentioned something in the cab I wanted to show you guys. So I had mentioned the word residual. Or not residual, refuge. Okay, so you see the corn and how it's colored instead of just being yellow? That's the seed treatment on it. So this one is treated to resist corn borer. That is a worm that gets in the ear as it's developing and eats the silks. The silk is that little hairy stuff sticking up out of the top of a corn plant, or out of an ear of corn. Each silk goes to a kernel on that cob. So if you have a worm in there just eating the ends of them silks off, that's ears that are not going to get pollinated because the silk catches the pollen to pollinate the ear. Every time a worm bites those off, that's going to kill your yield. I want to say it was in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, they came out with BT corn, as it was called, which means it's resistant to corn borer, thus improving yield. Now, this other seed, because I've been doing a lot of switching back and forth, and you might wonder why. So that guy, hopefully it's bright enough you guys can see that, is a different variety. And that one has different genetics in it that make it resistant to not only the corn borer. That's why it's got the treatment on it and makes the seed colored. It also has a rootworm protection. So rootworm is a different animal. So it's these little beetles that'll fly into a cornfield in the fall, lay their eggs in the soil. Springtime, those eggs hatch and it's a little worm. And it's what it says. It's a rootworm. It's looking for roots to eat on. It'll eat roots for a while, pupate or whatever, and then become a beetle, come out of the soil, fly away to the next cornfield. If you plant corn behind corn, which means like last year where we had corn and we plant corn this year, you want to have that rootworm protection. Otherwise, your corn just falls over. We've had that happen before where rootworm protection failed. And we catch a thunderstorm out here in the summer. It's not unusual to have a storm come through with, 70-mile-an-hour winds. You go look at your corn and it's all just flat. And you go looking and you go, well, hell, the roots are ate off. No wonder it didn't hold up. It had no structure below the soil. So that's why we're switching varieties back and forth, because rootworm seed is much, much more expensive than not rootworm seed. Everything is treated for corn borer, but not necessarily rootworm that we plant. I don't know if anybody, there's got to be just some old conventional, I don't know. I'm not even going to speculate on something I don't know. Either way, that is the difference in the seed varieties. I keep having to switch back and forth between it's what the genetics are of the seed and the cost of the seed. There's no point in putting a lot of money into acres that you don't have to if you can help it. So that being said, guys, I got more pivots than I feel like counting at the moment to go through. Check them all, make sure everything's running, make sure there's no problems. And then I'm going home, going to bed so I can wake up tomorrow and get on the sprayer. So, see you guys later.